Well, waiting for the man. Have to say we're not waiting for the man. He's here with me live in studio, Mr. Andy John Bradford, indeed. And we're going to have a chat with him right now, indeed. So just bear with me till we get the whole thing, as they say, put together. A little bit about the man, just to give you a bit of an insight as to who will be sharing the studio with me here this evening. Andy John Bradford, formerly known as Andy Cooper, the Celtic poet. He's been writing and performing songs for over 40 years, and for 35 of those years he's been involved professionally as a singer for many different bands, including Christus, yep. And they were a college rock band and actually played a number of concerts with the hard rock metal band Samson, which at the time was fronted by none other than Mr. Bruce Dickinson.
Indeed.
Absolutely some stuff. Just looking at your biography here, and I could read this all day, but it's just a list, a complete list of royalty of names and various bits and pieces that you've worked with over the years. First of all, though, welcome to IUR FM. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Never mind the bio. Tell us who you are. Who is Andy John Bradford?
Andy John Bradford, basically just a singer-songwriter who loves music. And I live for music. I live and breathe, eat. You know, it's the old cliche. I love everything about music, and I can't live a day without music. I can't do a journey in a car without music. You know, I've got to have music on me all the time. If I'm sleeping, I've always got a backing track in my head. You know, all my dreams have film scores. It's great. You know, I'm just a typical I'm a typical musician, basically.
Okay, well, I mean, that's an excellent intro to how you feel about your life and who you are inside yourself. First of all, your accent, it's not local, okay?
No, it's not local.
But you live here?
I live here. I've been here 12 years, and I've never picked up the accent.
No, that's not a bad thing.
Well, no, but everywhere else I've lived, I've picked up the accent. I lived in Dudley for 6 months, and I came back with the broadest Birmingham accent you've ever heard in your life.
Right.
And, you know, you'd think I was a brummie. But
Jasper carried your heart out, eh?
Oh, aye. You know, and come to Dudley, we've got a canal, you know, so that sort of thing. But, no, I just cannot get hold of, I can't get a grip. I mean, because you've got so many different accents within the accents.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I travelled to Larne once, and you know, you've got an accent at one side of the road, and a different accent at the other side of the road. And
Ireland is like that. Really, I have to agree with you there. I mean, the accent changes every 7 or 8 miles. It really does. Yeah, absolutely.
Even in Ballymoney, or as those Brits call it, Ballymoney. But even in Ballymoney, we have different accents, and it always ends up in hey. For some reason, I can't even do the. I'm not even going to try.
Okay, well, tell us about where did you come from? Where did you grow up, and how did you get into music originally?
I grew up in Bradford, mainly in Bradford. I was born in Middlesbrough, and I was born into a church army family. My dad was a church army captain with Terry Waite, who ended up being the Beirut hostage. Yeah. And he ended up being my godfather, did Terry Waite.
Serious?
He's my godfather. He you know, so we travelled around a bit. So we moved from Middlesbrough, we moved to Coventry. From Coventry, we moved to Nottingham, where my dad then was going to. Well, in fact, from Coventry, we moved to Nottingham, where my dad was doing teacher training. After leaving the church army, retiring from the church army area, and he went into teaching. So he did teacher training at the university in Nottingham, teacher training school, and we lived there for about 4 or 5 years until 1972, when we got shifted over to Bothensall, just outside Nottingham, which is a little village where my granddad lived, my grandmother lived, and he was a sort of an ex-miner with a small holding type farm with bullocks down the bottom, and ducks and hens and a pig which didn't like me at all, and a great big hay barn. So we lived there for a few months while my mum and dad went with my sister, who was just a baby in arms at the time, and they went to Bradford to look for a house, and Leeds as well, because he got a teaching job in Leeds, so they had to look round about Bradford and Leeds. We ended up moving to Bradford, where I lived then for more or less until I moved over here.
Yeah.
But in Bradford, I moved around a lot.
Yeah.
What was it, 37 moves?
Right, okay.
For one thing and another,
Right.
which I won't go into on the air. But we had 37 moves around the area, around different areas in Bradford, and we ended up moving. My dad became a minister, a church vicar, Church of England vicar. And which some people around here will say is the next thing to Catholicism, apparently. So, but it was the Church of England vicar, and we moved around a lot again. He got his curacy in an estate called Homewood,
Right.
Which is it was quite a rough estate, a really rough estate,
Right.
And we were right in the heart of it. So we stayed in the vicarage there for a good few years until I got married, and to my first wife. I'm going to be listing off wives now. You see that? So,
Henry, yes, I am.
but, I got married to my first wife, and I had 2 children with her.
Right.
But then we parted ways, unfortunately, as a lot of marriages go. We parted ways. I mean, living the life I live, as a musician.
It's very nomadic, isn't it?
It is a very nomadic life, and you do tend to be very selfish.
Yeah.
And I was a very selfish man, and am in many ways a very selfish man. When I get engrossed, my wife will tell you now that as soon as I get engrossed in my music, that's it. And I cut myself off from everybody else, and sod the consequences, basically. So so that was a bit hard. I then moved to Keighley, and had quite a good time in Keighley until I moved over here.
Right.
12 years ago.
Okay, well, lots has happened though in that time
An
frame.
awful lot's happened, and it's great writing fodder. Great writing fodder. I mean, it's like the old Adele thing. I struggle to find what she's going to write about now. She's happy because every album she writes is about a breakup, and she's not with anybody at the moment. So she needs to find somebody quick so she can break up with them to write the next album. But I'm sort of the similar thing.
Yeah.
Most of my stuff is based on personal experiences, but more so as in the folk scene, because I grew up in the folk scene mainly.
Funny, that's something that's really starting to come back now. The English folks, the Irish folk scene and the Scottish folk scene. I'm not even going to talk about the Welsh folk scene, but the Irish folk scene and the Scottish folk scene never went away.
Never really went away. The English folk scene disappeared for a while.
It did, didn't it?
But it had its little enclaves of people. You had the likes of in the same set of people that I was running around with. You had Tom Paxton.
Yeah.
Who turned out to be Irish anyway, although he hid it very well. But you had Tom Paxton, who now lives in Australia. Lucky sod that he is. And then you had Alan, the guy that wrote Streets of London. I can't remember his name. I didn't mess around with him. I never met him. And over here you had Christy Moore. He was also on the English scene as well, because he did a lot of the London scene, so he was on the same circuit as well. And then you have the likes of more recently, up until now, you've got the likes of Jim Garvin, who's a great northeastern folk singer.
He done a version of Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark, didn't he?
He did a fantastic version of that.
But it was all about Thatcher and the Miners and stuff, wasn't it?
Exactly. He's got that sort of really, really melodic voice, which lends itself to that kind of music, and this tremolo in his voice, which I can't replicate, and I've never even tried to, and I love the guy to bits. He's such a funny guy.
But there was a sort of sorry for cutting across you, but in the late 70s, was it not sort of like a wee vibrant folk bluegrass scene happening?
There was, and there still is. There still is a very vibrant bluegrass folk scene, which is very evident at the Cambridge Folk Festival, which I had the pleasure.
The Down Country Boys and stuff like that.
That's right. That's right. I had the pleasure of playing there when they had Steve Earle on the main stage, and they had Katie Tunstall, etc. And we had the pleasure of sort of playing not on the main stage, but when I was with a guy called Martin Dawson.
Right.
And we were in a duo called Highway.
Right.
Which many funny stories from that duo, but
great name really reflects the imagery of the whole thing, though, doesn't it? Highway.
Highway, yeah. Well, that's what we were hoping for, but unfortunately, you know, in some of the areas where we played, you get coachloads of old women coming up expecting to see Harry Seacombe, and Harry Seacombe's Highway. You know, so it's quite.
I remember that.
The big disappointment on their faces when we turned up on stage. But it was, you know, happy times all along. You know, and I think they got used to our. We got within the scene of folk music, we were branded as heavy metal folk artists.
Right.
so you know, so it was. But I mean, how I got into rock music was through at college. Obviously, everybody was in rock music, you know, and I sort of drifted away from the folk scene a little bit. But I've always wanted to be a rocker.
Right.
But I haven't got the voice of a rocker.
Okay, fair enough.
I've got a folk voice, and in some ways, you know, some people say I've got a country voice, you know, which is similar to the likes of Cat Stevens and the likes they sort of compare me to. But I've not got a rock voice. But I'm what I call, you know, a frustrated rocker. So, you know, I write rock. I like to write rock music. I love writing. You know, growing up in the sort of 70s and the 80s. You know, you got the 70s, 80s rock scene, which I sort
the whole progressive scene coming along.
The progressive scene was very big. Which is what we've come into now. Which is, you know, 2008 I had my the Join the Dance album, which was very folk orientate, very sort of almost Celtic in a way, because I had a lot of Celtic musicians. On violin we had Maid McEwen, who's the chief fiddler with the Lord of the Dance, and Mike Flatt down south. She's the chief fiddler for him. We had Barbara, who is a BBC pianist. We had Will Garbutt, who is one of the top ulan pipe players in the world. He's amazing. And we were very, very lucky. And I was very lucky to have a guy called Vinnie James to produce the record. He was a Grammy-nominated artist in his own right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I want to go into this in a lot more detail, and actually I want to get you playing and singing here in the studio as well too. But there's just a list of names that we can talk about here. People that you've worked with, people that you have shared a stage with, as you say, and you're actually playing that down by saying that, I can tell. but we're going to have to go for a short commercial break. We'll pick this up when we come back on the flip side. Okay. Stay tuned, folks. This is the Showbox in your FM with Andy John Bradford live in studio with me here.
Stay tuned to 101.4 Newry's Your FM. Newry City's Your FM.
You're very welcome back. It's 28 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. You're tuned to the Showbox in your FM with me, Gerry Martin, keeping you company, and Andy John Bradford in studio here with me as well too. Okay, Andy, just before the commercial break, we were chatting about some of the things that you've done, some of the places that you've lived, and indeed some of the names that you've been involved with over the years. And we're talking about the various different types of music in the music scene. Tell us about your songwriting now, from where it started with the folk. You've said that you always wanted to be a sort of a rocker.
I always wanted to be a rock singer. And I always ended up writing folk songs, mainly because I'm what you call a people watcher,
right? And
I like to, you know, some people probably think I'm staring at them, but and I often am, but you know, for fear of getting punched sometimes. But you know, I find people fascinating. You know, and in every town that you go to, there's always a flowery character somewhere, embedded in the history of the town. And if you dig far enough, you can write a story about anything. So I sometimes see people, and I see, you know, they're doing something which to me tells a story about them. And I like to tell stories about people and about what they what goes through their minds. You know, it's not all about love.
Well, do you ever actually stop and ask these people what's going through their minds? No, you just watch them from afar.
I just like to guess what's going on, or imagine myself what's going through their minds.
Right, yeah, fair
because then in my own mind I can make up a hell of a story about them and maybe make them more interesting than they actually are. You know, so there's a good few thing. I mean, on the current album that we've got, we've gone to town on that, which sort of brought my love of rock music into play as well. Because of being the frustrated rocker, I've always wanted to make a rock album. I've always wanted to combine something, and being a folk singer and a folk writer, I wanted to see what I could do when I combined the genre of folk music with artists who are mainly in the progressive front and the rock front. So and the beautiful medium of the internet allows you to do things nowadays that you wouldn't dream of being able to do in the past. So we had the internet involved, and I've got many friends that I've never met, but I class them as very, very close, you know, as closer friends as the people that I know, you know, that I meet on a daily basis. So, for instance, Colin Tench, who lives in Sweden, a very, very good guitarist, from a band called Bunch of Keys, which was in the 80s, you know, about 25 years ago or so. And they made their Bunch of Keys album, Whose Dream, which was a very good album, very good, underrated album, I think. But has just taken a bit of a revival through Melodic Revolutions again. And it was also in a band called Odin of London, who, you know, progressive rock, you know, interesting progressive rock. And Colin's got a very sort of wild, I would say wild, almost ungainly style, but he does it in a very majestic way. So I liked his style and I liked his form of music, and I had a few ideas of some songs which I remember as kids, for instance, like the Mingulay Boat Song, which I first did at an audition for Crackerjack. When I was about 10 years old, with my best friend at the time, Andy Thorpe.
Was it the Leslie Crowther era, was it?
No, this was the Ed Stewart era. Stew Pot. And Crackerjack was Stew Pot. And we went to Leeds studio and we did the Mingulay Boat Song in the old traditional way, which was, if you know the Mingulay Boat Song, they do it, you know, Ron Thompson does it in a very, very sort of happy, clappy almost way. I've never really understood the way that they do it. You know, as a folk song, if you listen to the words of the Mingulay Boat Song,
quite a tragic tune,
it's
isn't it?
A very tragic story. That, you know, that there's a chance that these guys might not come home from their fishing trip, from their sailing trip, wherever they are. The storm is getting higher, the waves are getting higher, and then people on the Mingulay Island are getting quite frantic because their loved ones are away. So I said, this needs to be slowed down. It needs to be more atmospheric. So let's see what we can do with it. Now, two genres should never have really worked together. I know there is progressive rock out there. You know, you got Steel Eye Span, etc., and things like that. But we wanted to do it slightly differently. Actually use the hard element of rock with folk music. And the Mingulay Boat Song, which should never have worked as a prog song. And we got to writing this arrangement out between the two of us, and we said, right, then we need to get more people involved. So we asked around, and we got a guy from a band called Murky Red, who were a Belgian band, Steph Fleming.
This is getting all the more international as we go along.
Indeed, yes. It'll get even more as the story progresses. So Steph Fleming became involved, and he's normally a guitar. I can see you glazing over already, but he's he's normally a guitar player. He plays lead guitar normally in Murky Red. He's a brilliant guitarist, but he wanted to play bass for the band. Which became Ocean's 5. So he became the bass player in Ocean's 5. and added his bass. Then we needed a keyboard player. Now, we knew a friend in Italy called Marco Chiappini,
Right.
who is in a band called Gandalf's Project.
Okay.
So we got Marco involved, who added all the little whittles and twiddles on the album, and did a brilliant job, a bang-up job. But obviously we needed drums. Now, the best drummer that we could find at the time was in New York. So
hold on, just slow down a second here now. A minute ago we were in Belgium.
Yeah, then we're in Italy.
Then
we're
we're
in
in
Italy with Marco.
And now we're from New York.
Now we're in New York.
All right, okay.
With Victor Tissot.
Okay.
Who's with a band called Unified Past.
Right.
Now, the one thing that a lot of these bands have in common is that they're with Melodic Revolution Records.
Right, okay.
You see.
So we've got a good meat network there, okay. Good.
Network going, yeah. He's with Unified Past. And he was busy with his own project at the time, which was an album that he was writing with his partners. But he was doing our projects at the same time and doing a bang-up job on the drums. And he's a very flamboyant drummer, I find, but he's a great, really, really good and solid drummer, and adds some very interesting twists to music that I write.
Okay.
So he just seemed like the perfect thing.
So at this point now we've got bass.
At this point we've got bass,
keyboards,
lead guitar, and rhythm guitarist and vocals.
Right.
I did all the vocals, including the harmonies.
Okay.
So that was where that came from.
And we have the recorded version here.
We have the recorded version here, yes.
So shall we take a listen to it, do you think?
Indeed. Why don't we so?
Is there anything else that you want to say about it before we play it now at this point?
It's a bit longer than you might expect.
Okay.
It's not a 3 minute. It's not a 3 minute pop song.
Okay.
It is an 8 minute, 14-second epic.
Right.
And it's the first epic on the album. It's one of two epics that we've got on the album. So.
And this is taken from the new album, obviously.
This is taken from the new album, Return to Mingulay.
And the band's called Oceans 5.
Andy John Bradford's Oceans 5. Yeah, there is actually a boy band out there called Oceans 5.
Not to be mistaken with.
So we don't want to be mistaken with the boy band. So yeah.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just give you the shout again. Just completely reintroduce the track first, because I interrupted you there a couple of times. So just introduce it. Tell us what we're going to hear here.
Well, you're going to hear our version of a song that was a poem originally. The music was put together a lot later, in the 30s. And the most famous recording of it, I would say, is probably Ron Thompson's version. Who did the old traditional version. Very good version, and a lot of people class that as the ultimate one, the definitive version. This is just our take on it, basically, and we slowed it down a lot.
Okay.
So
we'll take it
hope you enjoy it.
101.4 Newry's Your FM. Newry City's Your FM. Your FM.
Well, you're very welcome back. It's almost 13 minutes away from the hour of 8 o'clock. It's the Showbox Show on your FM 101.4 right around Newry and Mourne, and live right around the world on the web. Gerry Martin keeping you company along with Andy John Bradford in studio. We've been having a chat, and believe me, this man has seen so much, done so much. We could probably chat here all night, but then we won't get a chance to hear any of his music, so we want to hear some of his music too. But before we do that, I just want to remind you once again, if you want to get in touch with the programme, please feel free to do so. You can text us here on 07766 40 41 42. That's 07766 40 41 42. Don't forget to text the word Your FM, IUR FM, followed by your message and your name to, once again, 07766 40 41 42. I think I'll turn your mic off for a wee second, Andy. And you can also get in touch via the Facebook page. Simply click on the IUR FM Facebook page, click like there, leave a wee message. Love to hear from you. A couple of people have got in touch. Big hello to Aggie Corrigan. Thanks for getting in touch, Aggie. Also hello to Joe Murphy as well too. Keep your comments coming in. Okay, this gentleman in front of me here now, he has worked with lots and lots and lots of names over the years, written many, many tunes. We're going to hear some of those. He's also playing at the moment with a band called Andy John Bradford's Ocean's 5, which is an international collection of very talented musicians. Just before the commercial break, you heard the
Mingulay boat song. Mingulay. It's actually written about Mingulay Island.
Yeah, Mingulay. Just trying to pronounce that. Okay. Yeah. Mingulay boat song. And I have to say, wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Such a different take on that tune.
Thank you very much.
And it's got such a really... I can't even try and put a genre on it, so I won't. But it's got that whole soulful blues feeling kicking in behind it, along with the folk atmosphere. But the electrification of the guitars, the heavy thumping bass, and as you say, the flamboyant drums, it just sounds fantastic. Never mind the keys, the whole thing just sounds absolutely wonderful. What possessed you to actually put it together like that?
I just thought it deserved it, to be honest, because I love the song. I love this. I love the words. If you read the words of the song, you know, they deserve something epic.
Yeah.
And you know, that all fair. You know, I love Ron Thompson's version. I always have done. I always will do.
But there was room for another version.
There was room for another. I think there always was. There's been different versions. There's been so many different versions over the years. But I think we've put our own stamp on it, individual stamp on it, and I think it's one that will could stand the test of time. I'm proud of it. Okay. I'm very proud of it. So
the band name Ocean's 5, to do with the international aspect of the band. There's now 8 members in the band.
Well, unofficially there are.
Okay.
We have Sonia Mota, who is from Mozambique.
Right. So we're on the move again.
We're on the move again to Mozambique. Now she is an artist, a very, very talented artist.
Okay.
So she was the obvious person to ask to do the artwork for us for the CD. And she has done a cracking job. She uses Microsoft Paint.
Right.
Just Microsoft
That's
Paint.
very basic, isn't it?
Very basic, very basic. But I tell you, the artwork she does is nothing but ordinary.
Right.
You'd think you were looking at a photograph.
Seriously.
And it's all done by hand. There's no Photoshop done in it at all. It's all done by hand by Sonia Mota. I mean, I've got to give her credit. I love her to bits. She is the most bubbly person you'd ever meet. You'd ever want to know.
Yeah.
Very enthusiastic, uber enthusiastic about all genres of music, especially prog music. She loves because none of us really take ourselves seriously. We take the music seriously, but when it comes to ourselves, we never really take ourselves seriously. We like a joke, you know, we like a laugh, and she likes that about the genre. You know, I think that's with prog musicians I know all over the world who are exactly the same. They never take themselves seriously.
Okay,
can't afford to.
and who else is involved then as well?
Well, we've got a guy called Andres Guazzale.
Right.
who's from Argentina.
Oh dear God, here we go again.
And he added.
Will you ever get all of these together in one place, do you think?
I would love to. I would love to. It's just a case of
Picking a point in the map?
picking a pinprick in the map and finding somewhere reasonably central for us all to meet, and find a venue big enough for us to be able to fit on the stage. We joke about it and laugh about it, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, there's something really freeing about doing it this way.
Yeah.
Rather than going into a recording studio with a time constraint because you've got budgetary concerns.
I love the whole idea of the collaboration, of just taking it, it's like pass the parcel, here's my bit done, move it on to the next bit.
That's right, and see what they do.
That's a fantastic thing. I was actually I actually thought about doing this with a group on Facebook some time back. Well, there's quite a few different musicians on it. We thought about taking a tune and passing it round. It didn't come to fruition the way what you have done has done, but it's a fantastic concept.
It's amazing, actually. I was surprised how many bands do it now.
Yeah.
There's so many bands out there that have come with 1 or 2 albums out already. You know, I know a few. There's 9 Stones Close have done an album and have never ever met. You know, we've never met. I've never met any of the artists involved in this. I would love to meet them all, and we will. We are gonna make sure that we all get together so we can actually have a damn good jam. And hopefully in front of an audience, so we can pay for a fare. But yeah, it'll be great. Okay, it'll be great. Yeah. So
okay, I'm going to take you back in time. Now, is there anybody else in the band?
In the band, apart from Nick Katona,
right?
Who's the
where's he?
He's in Florida,
right?
But he's the sort of the what I call the Ubi-Doo, but he's the Ubi-Doo girl. He's actually the manager. He's the owner of Melodic Revolution.
Right, okay,
but he's got a very important part in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's Yolanda as well, who's doing the graphics for the CD cover.
Right.
Who is actually...
so you're actually looking at this as more than just musicians in a band. You're looking at this as a group of people who've got together in a...
Exactly, it's like a company, and we've all got our own little individual bits.
Okay.
And the basic thing that we all have in common is that we all love music.
Yeah. So everybody has a part in this project.
Yeah.
And you're putting it together, whether they're actually physically recorded on.
Yeah, that's right. But they all have an individual part.
Everybody's a part, so therefore, technically, everybody's a part of the band.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I get you. Exactly. I get the concept. Yeah.
You know, irrespective of, it's like the Beatles. They had an unofficial 6th member of the band.
Yeah.
Who didn't have anything to do with the recording process, but was always there.
Yeah.
And these people are always there, and they've had just as much of part on the way that the album is constructed. The artwork is important to convey the tunes, for instance, and she's done a cracking job to convey the atmosphere that the the emotion and the atmosphere that the Mingulay boat song shows. I'm blown away by the cover.
Is there anywhere online we can actually see this?
Yes, it's actually on melodicrevolutionrecords.com.
Okay.
It's all over Facebook.
Right, okay.
Facebook.com/Andy John Bradford's Oceans 5.
Right, we'll definitely be talking about that in the next other programme.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm a bit miffed about at this point in time is we haven't actually got you to play a song yet. But I'll tell you what, just with the time constraints coming up in the news and whatnot, I think we'll maybe do that in the next hour of the programme, get as many tunes squeezed in as we can.
Definitely, yeah.
And we'll have a little concert. So let's take you back in time again.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take you back to Smokey. Tell us about that.
Well, I sort of got involved with Smokey 1986, 87. My best friend at the time is Alan Silson, and we were, to the point where we were bad influences on each other.
Right.
His wife would probably describe it differently, that I was the bad influence.
Right, on him.
Yeah, very much so, and he would probably describe it differently as well. But we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I sort of got involved with the band. I was very good friends with Alan Barton.
Later on,
who the late great Alan Barton, who was such a good songwriter in his own right, and obviously he was with Black Lace, So we used to joke that he came a long way from pushing pineapples. But he did really well, and we would encourage the audience to put their hands together and give him the clap that he so richly deserved. There's a story behind that. I can't really say it on but he was a great guy. He was a really, really nice guy, and I miss him desperately. But Smokey.
You were telling me off air about the vocal collection that was found that had been tucked away.
Yeah, well, I got involved initially to write for them with the album Whose Are These Boots, which did very well in Sweden. I was the unnamed person behind the scenes, basically. I think it was record company policy or something, whatever. The music business is like, there's plenty of unnamed members around the place, but I'm sort of somewhere in the archives somewhere. But anyhow, so I got involved with that, but Alan Barton himself was writing an awful lot of stuff after that album. And they did the Boulevard of Broken Dreams after that, and Alan was still writing, and then sadly in the 90s they had that traumatic bus crash in Germany, where Alan passed away a week later. And we didn't know at the time that he'd actually recorded stuff on his own right, vocally, as demos for the band. And it was all on 2.5 inch, the old 2.5 inch tape, lovely stuff. But it was all found in an attic of Andy Walton, who brought it to Dean Barton's house. And Dean Barton is Alan Barton's son. So he'd started a band, to keep the spirit of Smokey alive, basically. So he started a band, and they had to put the tape into vinegar to get it out, and eventually, after many years, I think almost 15 years it took, they eventually got an album out.
It's amazing,
called
isn't it?
Room with a View, and it sounds incredible. It's as if Alan Barton's it's brought him back to life.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
It's a real joy, I suppose, to stumble across that.
And
to think to yourself, this is brilliant, a legacy left behind.
Exactly. It brought tears to my eyes. It really did. It was fantastic.
Okay, good. Okay, well, as I say, there's an awful lot still to talk about. There's an awful lot of music yet to listen to.
Definitely.
We'll do it all after the news. Folks, you're tuned to the Showbox Show on your FM 101.4 with me, Gerry Martin, and live in studio with me, the inimitable, the one and only Mr. Andy John Bradford. And we'll tell more from Andy after the news here at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock, your FM.
On digital at yourfm.com and live on FM 101.4 from Newry. This is Your FM News Update.
Have you got friends or family throughout the world who would like to hear the news and events back home? Then why not tell them about Your FM? They can listen live on our website, yourfm.com, from across the world and send requests and stories from across the globe. Your FM, broadcasting locally on 101.4 FM and worldwide on www.yourfm.com. That's IURFM.com. Your community, your station, your world. This is Your FM.
Your FM's got your music now.
Well, you're very, very welcome back. It's 4 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. You're tuned to the Showbox Show on your FM 101.4. Once again, if you'd like to get in touch, it's 07766 40 41 42 by text. That's 07766 40 41 42. Just text the word Your FM, spelled IURFM, followed by your message and your name once again to 07766 40 41 42. Or get in touch via Facebook. Simply go to our Facebook page, IURFM Newry, click the like on the page, leave your message, and we'll give a wee shout out to you later on in the programme. Okay, coming your way after the news at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock will be Matty James with Country Call. Until then, it's me, Gerry Martin, and live in studio with me, the one and only Mr. Andy John Bradford. Now, we've been having a chat with Andy over the course of the last hour of the programme about his various exploits in the world of music and his starting life in the sort of the Midlands area of England, and now living over here in Northern Ireland in Ballymoney, and still making music and still enjoying the music, and still writing lots and lots of music.
Yeah. Constantly writing.
Okay, the new album coming out with Ocean's 5. Okay, that's a separate entity now to the material that you've been writing yourself.
I've been writing myself. I've been writing a lot of new stuff myself as well, which I'm going to be hopefully releasing next year.
Okay.
I'm going to be doing that with a guy called Yahtzee Tuominenum.
Say that again.
Yahtzee Tuominenum.
Okay.
He's Finnish.
Okay.
From Texas. He lives in Texas.
He's Finnish from Texas.
Yeah, he's a Finnish man.
You're just throwing this at me, aren't you, just to confuse the language of it?
Yeah. But he's a great guitarist.
Right. Okay.
I'm looking forward to working with him. And I'm also going to be working with the Dandy Horses.
Right.
With two members, Joanne Cassidy and Nolene, and the Dandy Horses, who are going to come into my studio and do a little bit for this album as well, this new album.
Okay.
This is going to be very different. It's going to be very Celtic orientated again.
Right.
I'm going back to the sort of Celtic sound.
And this is going back to the original title that was put upon you, The Celtic Poet?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Well, it will be Andy John Bradford.
Yeah. I'm assuming, obviously, I'm making the leap here without saying it to the listeners, that the Bradford part comes from your history, from where you lived.
It's basically coming from Bradford.
Yeah.
I come from Bradford now. I thought it was sounding pretty cool. So,
yeah.
It
actually does sound good, yeah.
I didn't like, obviously I like Andy Cooper, and I suppose I could have gone with AJ Cooper.
Yeah.
That's got reasonable ring to it.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought, no, Andy John Bradford, why not go the whole hog and change my name completely?
Right.
if Kaz Hawkins can do it, why can't I?
Absolutely.
I went down that route and they changed my name. Not changed it properly.
Didn't do a deed poll job.
I didn't do a deed poll job. No. I'm not like the man who changed his name to Status Quo. I thought it'd be cooler to have a name that at least sounded like a stage name.
Yeah.
Well,
your roots are very definitely in the folk area of shading sliding on to what we call prog rock and that kind of thing. So, I mean, you grew up on a diet of folk music. You went to college basically, and we were introduced to the rock scene of the day.
I went to college. I was at college as a youngster. To study catering. I got involved with guys there, like you do, at Vaux Rock Bar, which was the big bike bar down the club area, and we got involved with guys down there, which introduced me to the rock scene. We formed a band and jammed a few notes out and what have you, and we thought, this sounds pretty good. Let's see what we can do. And then all of a sudden we started playing gigs. We had an A&R man who came and visited. They actually worked closely with bands like Samson.
Right. Okay,
at the time, Ted Nugent.
This is where the Bruce Dickinson connection comes in,
Bruce Dickinson. I also worked with Ted Nugent, this guy.
And for those who don't know, we're talking Iron Maiden here and stuff like that.
Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson. But this was pre-Iron Maiden. This was a few years before he actually got discovered by the guys at Iron Maiden.
I'm not a massive metal fan, but am I right about this? Was he not a classically trained singer?
Yeah, he is very classically trained. He's the nicest guy you could ever want to meet. He's got a lovely temperament, and he's so not what he is on stage. He's
that's a persona, isn't it?
That's a big persona, and he's to be a metal artist. To me, he came across as so rock and roll. Then he got on stage and he was a completely different character. Transformed. But I mean, with the guys in Samson, you got the guy with the axe, who walks around with what basically could be described as a gimp mask.
Right.
And that was it. That was his character. This big burly man with the hammer. And they were a great band. They were a really, really good band, and I think they had some really classic tunes, but they never really made it big.
No.
You know, they were good on the festival scene.
Yeah,
Very good on the festival scene. But never really had a hit record.
Still, even to this day, you'll find bands like that always in the fringes.
Yeah.
Was it always the bridesmaid, never the bride? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. But Iron Maiden, you see, caught them. But anyhow, we toured. We did the college scene with Samson.
But then again, too, for a lot of people and for a lot of fans, it's nearly always sometimes better that way because a lot of bands that get too commercialised.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? And they lose the core value, the core followers that they would have had at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not about the music anymore. You know,
the crowds that used to come to the Samson gigs, you know, they were the sort of hardcore biker guys. Would quite happily throw a bottle at you if they didn't like it.
Well, that's and bringing up the biker thing, because I wanted to bring it. I want to sort of, because we are constrained for time. I want to sort of bring us to another period in your life here now. We're going to bring the bike into it, and that was a massive impact in your life. There was a bike accident. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I was with Martin Dawson at the time. We were in a duo called Highway.
Yeah.
We talked about earlier on, and I was also a big bike fan.
Yeah.
I love my bikes.
Yeah.
But I made the mistake of going from a 125 Honda CD to a Kawasaki ZXR. And then that's when the power came. And I remember from what I can actually remember of the accident was that I was riding to somebody else's tune because the car pulled out in front of me on a country lane. It had just been raining. I had no grip on my tyres as such, so I slid, went up the embankment over a wall. The bike followed me at 60 miles an hour and landed slap bang on top of me.
Oh dear.
The next thing I remember was waking up a week or so later in hospital. In a number of casts.
Right. You can laugh about it now.
I can laugh at it now, but I think of how close I was to Lights Out. Basically, you know, that could have been it for me. And but it did stop what was a beautiful partnership with me and Martin Dawson at the time. We parted ways because I had to learn how to play guitar again. I had to learn to walk again. And it was hard. It was hard for a good few years, and it wasn't very easy to live with.
No, I can imagine. There has to be a certain amount of depression there.
There still is at times. You know, I do go through big bouts of depression even now.
Well, I mean, that's understandable. Completely understandable.
Yeah. So, but that's another story. That's for another day, I think.
Okay, but that obviously then put the brakes on the music too.
It put a lot of brakes onto the music, and it took me out of the scene for a long time. But I eventually got back because the music kept clawing at me, and it's the music that's really kept me going over the years.
Well, I tell you what, at this point, I think we're going to lighten the mood a bit, because I tell you why. At this point, we've talked about the music.
We've not played any.
We haven't played any. We've talked about it. We've talked about where it's come from. We've talked about the fire inside, the reason for the music. I suppose the journey through the music, and indeed the reasons for the music. Well, let's hear the music. Okay.
Let's hear the music.
And I'll tell you what, you're going to take a track from the new album.
The new album,
And this is the Whitby Smuggler song. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, the Whitby Smuggler song was written in the 18th century, and it was it had many verses. Many verses. So what Martin and I did originally, this was a track that Martin and I used to sing on the circuit years ago. And what we did originally was we had 3 verses, which was basically all about a ship that would come down from Scotland. It was the smuggling route, basically, from Scotland around, you know, from the West Indies, around Scotland, and through to the town of Saltburn, which was the main smuggling ring area, because it was a hidden port. And it was easy to get the goods out and around to wherever they went, whatever was there. It was a tobacco route, a whiskey route, and a brandy route, basically. And
those things don't change much, do they?
No, they don't. They don't change at all. They don't change. It's still the same route now, but slightly more heavily guarded. But back then, it was not very heavily guarded. And of course, it was rife. The smuggling was rife at the time. Piracy, smuggling. It was all the same thing. And this is about a guy. The story is about a guy a crew who worked for the man John Andrews, who was a major smuggler at the time, and they called it's a warning to sailors not to take the same route as the Andrews men, because in the end the excise man will always get you, the excise man being the tax man, basically, because they want their cut. So it tells the story of the crew of the ship and of John Andrews, and the ultimate end of John Andrews at the end.
Okay.
So this is the Whitby Smuggler's Song.
Good stuff.
Well, I just had a long talk with a ferry captain, sailing down by the old quayside. His hold was full of tobacco, and they smuggled on the estuary tide. And they say, give me a guinea for your brandy, to make me a profit on the job. And they say, give me a guinea for your brandy. Well, it's the King's excess man that I rob. Well, the ship, she came in at Saltburn. John Andrews, he was the licensee. She sailed down through the borders of Scotland, after spending 18 months out at sea. Still we say, give me a guinea for your brandy, and make me a profit on the job. And give me a guinea for your brandy, 'cause it's the King's excess man that I rob. Well, the excess man, they made an inspection. The tobacco was hiding under deck. So when they found the hole, they hauled the men to prison, and they slung a noose around John Andrews' neck. But still we say, give me a guinea for your brandy, and make me a profit on the job. You give me a guinea for your brandy, 'cause it's the King's excess man that I rob. You seafarers, take warning, don't sail the same side as the Andrews men. Won't be a jet miner or a whaler, because the excess man will get you in the end. And we say, give me a guinea for your brandy, and make me a profit on the job. Still we say, give me a guinea for for you, Brandy. 'Cause it's the King Texas man that I rob. And we say, give me a guinea for your brandy. You make me a profit on the job. And we say, give me a guinea for your brandy. 'Cause it's the King Texas man that I rob.
Excellent, very, very good indeed.
Thank you.
No, really enjoyed that. So this poor guy Andrews, he actually got hung then at the heel of the hunt.
He got hung.
Oh.
Yeah, he got hung, as did the crew. So
That's not good.
don't sail the same tide as him because you'll end up dead. So
Okay, thoroughly enjoyed that,
it's
really
a song
did.
with a happy ending.
Okay, I'll tell you what, we'll take a short commercial break and we'll have another one from you whenever we get back on the flip side.
Stay tuned to 101.4 Newry's Your FM. Newry City's Your FM.
Well, you're very welcome back again. 22 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. It's the Showbox Show on your FM with me, Gerry Martin, and my guest in studio, Mr. Andy John Bradford, singer-songwriter and entertainer. We've heard quite a bit about Andy's life, where he's come from, where he's at now, his various projects, solo, both, and collaborative. And we thought it's just time now to get Andy playing live in studio here.
Definitely.
Time to hear the music. So the last one we heard was the Whitby Smuggler song. Again, it's a bit of a tale, isn't it? Like,
I like stories. I like to tell a story.
Yeah.
I think a good song should have a good story.
Yeah.
It's not all about humping and all about riding about and doing whatever. It's about people.
Yeah.
And that's where the music's about people.
Well, I mean,
without people, there's no music.
But living in this very genre, we're talking about folk here. So at the end of the day, I mean, that folk encapsulates and encompasses all things about stories and life and
That's
people.
right. Well, folk was designed to pass down from generation to generation. It's about telling a story, and it's putting a tale of something that happened, of something that has gone on, into words that would encapsulate a generation and get passed to the children and get passed to the forefathers, which is why we're still singing songs that were written in the 18th century but maybe have a modern twist on it. I did the Smuggler's song, and I did my twist on it, and I did my own verse on it as well. The verse about the tobacco was never in the original version. I put that in. I wrote that myself, but it fitted. It needed, to me, it needed something there. If I had the full text, it would have taken forever to write. I wanted to condense it down. But to condense it down meant I would have to get rid of a large chunk of the story.
And then obviously you had to put something that was relevant to what's going on today.
Exactly, so I had to put something relevant in the middle of it, which is why I put that section in there. It's very relevant today, with things smuggling going on.
There's still a massive tobacco smuggling industry out there. But anyway, moving swiftly on. The next track you're going to sing for us is Invictus, Captain of My Soul. Tell us about that.
Well, this was written by a guy called, the poem itself was written in the Victorian era, sort of late 19th century, by a guy called Ernest Hemings. For ages I used to say it was written by Ernest Hemingway. But no, it
a bit long tooth in the trenches at that stage.
It was written by Ernest Hemings, and Ernest Hemings wrote this song, and it was one that struck a chord with Nelson Mandela. Right. Now, Nelson Mandela, obviously, he was going through really horrific time in the camp, and in prison for 30 odd years. He was in prison for, and he's gone on to be one of the most inspirational leaders of our generation. And it's sad to see how poorly he is now. I don't know if he's given up his fight for life yet. I'm not sure. I've not heard anything, so I assume he's still fighting for his life. He was such an inspirational guy, and this is what kept him inspired. because at the end of the day, he was the master of the captain of his soul, the master of his fate, and that's what kept him going. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. He kept saying that on a daily basis, and that no matter what it was, they could not grind him down. So
that's a fantastic analogy to go with the song. The actual song itself, though, getting back to the origins of it, where did it come from? I know you've told me who wrote it, and what was the actual meaning behind the original?
Well, the meaning behind the original was it was a song written about slavery, in fact.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It was based on slavery, and it was about how you can get beaten and trodden, and how you can go from the darkest night, and it could be the darkest point of your life, but there's always something there that's going to keep you going. And it's never ever going to be able to conquer your soul. You can take my body, but you're not going to take my spirit.
Basically the triumph of spirit,
which is basically what it was, the triumph over spirit over will, basically. And that's the whole thing. It's about being triumphant at the end of it, no matter how black it is, no matter how tormented you might feel inside. There's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, it's a recurrent theme throughout history in all walks of life, really, isn't it? So, okay, let's have a listen to it. Invictus, Captain of My Soul. This is Andy John Bradford live in studio on the Showbox on IUR FM 101.4.
As the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. And night is day and day is night. Keep my compass true and my nightlight bright. See the view from pole to pole. I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. Circumstance, I had not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is blooded but unbound. And night is day and day is night. Keep my compass true and my nightlight bright. See the view from pole to pole. I'm the caster of my fate and the captain of my soul. But horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years she'll always find me unafraid. And night is day and day is night. Keep my compass true and my nightlight bright. See the view from pole to pole. I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. Never giving up. 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 It matters not how straight the gate. How charged with punishments to scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
There we go again. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff. Okay, and you can tell the lyrics are, they're inspirational, really, aren't they?
Very inspirational.
You know,
You could not write a song about it, you know, and I've not heard a song about this bun before,
Yeah.
so I thought we had to do something and do it justice, because it need. I heard it written or heard it read out in the film Invictus with Matt Damon, and I was so inspired by it. I thought, oh wow, I'm going to have to write this down and
Right.
do it again. It's absolutely fantastic.
So you've actually put the music to that yourself, that
I
version?
put this is my version. This is my
right,
music.
okay.
This is my music, my arrangement. The chorus is mine.
Right.
And you know, I just sort of kept the words. I didn't change any of the words. I thought they didn't need changing.
No.
So because it works as a song,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So absolutely, I love it. I love it to bits. And I think when you hear the album,
Yeah.
it's got a quirky sound to it. You know, it's a very quirky song, and I think it could strike a chord. It's really, really catchy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I have to agree with that.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, you want to take another one for us?
Yeah, well, I'm going to do. Actually, I have to. This is a song that I'm dedicating. It's brand new. This one.
Okay, good. This is not on the collaboration now.
This isn't on the collaboration.
Okay.
I'm sort of stepping away from the collaboration. This is going to be on the new solo album.
Okay.
And it's a song which I dedicate to my daughter.
Right.
It's written for my daughter, in fact.
Oh, I think I actually have a copy of that on
I think
CD here as well. That's Daddy's Girl, is it?
no, it's not Daddy's Girl. Actually.
No, okay.
No.
There's me jumping the gun. Sorry.
Yep. I will do that one as well if you want. Actually, because I can tell you a story. You know, it was the breakup with myself and Judith. You know, it's quite a. You know, like everything, you know, it starts off amicable and you end up sort of getting all bulgy and sort of very stubborn. And I was very stubborn in my way, so you know, we separated. You know, not to put light on the thing, but you know, kids always get hurt in things like this. And it got to the point where it was almost 20 years before I got to see my daughter again, or hear from my daughter again.
Right.
So we've now struck up a brilliant relationship. You know, I love her to bits. I always have loved her. I've always never forgotten about her. I've always been in my thoughts, but I love her to bits, and she's got such a lovely personality. She's a credit, in fact, to what Judith has done over the years, and she's absolutely incredible. She really is, and she's getting married now. You know, it's a lovely guy called Mark.
Right.
But she's doing a degree at college, and she's going to do teaching.
Right.
But I'm so proud of her. And I wrote the song Daddy's Girl originally, which was my sort of soulful cry to get back to her, basically. And now I've met, you know, obviously that part's past. That story's past. So I had to write something more current about what I feel now, and you know, knowing what she's like. And what she wears, how she dresses, how she talks, how she is such a bubbly personality. I had to write this, and this is called My Angel. It's a love song, basically, for Hannah.
Okay.
And it's My Angel. I know she's probably listening as well. If she's not in the throes of her Mamma Mia night.
Right.
She's having a Mamma Mia night tonight with her best friend.
Right.
That I might have interrupted that. I don't know. But, this is my angel.
Okay, good stuff.
She wears beads with thread. Her hair is golden red. Eyes with a hazel haze. She'll hypnotize you with that gentle gaze. She speaks a calming tone that glides on through the air. She melts my every bone with a voice so sweet and rare. She's my angel girl, my angel girl. I'll hang on every word of my angel. Has a royal smile that calms my every nerve. She walks with grace and style and carries every curve. She has an air of grace, picture perfect face. My little princess child, I never felt so proud of my angel girl, my angel girl. I'll hang on every word of my angel. My angel girl, I'll hang on every word, my angel.
Superb once again, absolutely brilliant, Andy.
Thank you.
And your daughter, did she get to see you now at all play live?
She will be doing in October.
Right, okay.
'Cause I'm going over to actually see my daughter and my prospective son-in-law.
Right, good.
So I get to vet him, but no, he's a lovely guy.
Right, good.
But no, I get to see him, and I'm so looking forward to that. But I'm also, I thought I'd work in a couple of dates as well.
Yeah, and
so,
why not?
I'm going to be playing at the backup pipes in Keighley, and I'm also going to be playing at the Haworth Wuthering Heights Folk Club.
Right, okay,
so,
good.
I'm so looking forward to that.
Good stuff. And getting back to the track, though, absolutely lovely, and you could feel the emotion just pouring out from you. And what more can we say?
Aye.
I mean, it's just a beautiful track.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to 101.4 Newry's Your FM. Newry City's Your FM.
Well, once again, you're very welcome back. 18 minutes away from the hour of 9 o'clock. 18 minutes left on the programme with myself, Gerry Martin, keeping you company, along with Andy John Bradford live in studio. You're tuned to the Showbox show. Don't forget, Matty James coming your way with the country call after the news at 9. Till then, though, hopefully you will remain with us here. We've been talking to Andy John Bradford for the first hour of the programme and for practically the second hour of the show so far. And he's been playing us some tunes and talking about those tunes as well too. I have to say they're all very, very good. Brilliant. What you might call I'm looking for words here. It's not good when a DJ has to stop and think and look for words, but the words that I'm looking for are, because what you're doing is so unique, you're taking various old poetical type folklore stories and putting a musical twist on them and putting a spin to them, and that's not that commonplace really, because in a lot of folk music the air's already there, the lyrics are set nearly in stone. There may be regional sort of variations, but
if you actually go back into the history of folk music, folk music or folk poetry, it was, before music there was poetry, and you would have people actually telling the story in an almost lyrical sense, in a musical sense, more or less, melodic tones, vocally, and they folk music is just a progression of that.
Yeah,
it's just a progression of that, and it tells the story of people, basically. Basically folk music's just a collection of stories with people watchers.
But it is. It's basically a tradition that's handed down.
It's a tradition that's been handed down from generation to generation, with no airs and graces, with no air about copyright, for instance. There's no such thing as copyright in folk music, really, because it's supposed to be passed down. Why not?
It's obviously very difficult now to put a label on a story that's been told and handed down, and to say, right, well, that's mine, or that's not mine, or that kind of thing. But it's just unique what you're doing. I suppose at some stage everybody had to do that at some stage, to find words and then to put music to it, and you're sort of carrying on a tradition there. Where it's nearly like where you're collecting words and creating music to them. People talk about collecting songs, but you're actually collecting verse and creating. And then again, obviously too, you write your own.
I write my own as well.
We've just seen that there with My Angel, and obviously the one we talked about earlier, Daddy's Girl, and there's going to be quite a bit of your own stuff obviously in the new album. But where do you get the most satisfaction of taking something that's already there and putting music to it, or creating something original completely?
I think there's got to be something about creating your own baby, and I mean you've nurtured this thing from birth. You've had an idea, you've had a seed planted somewhere, and you've got this feeling that you need to get it out, basically. It's been gnawing at you, so you write it down, and it either comes quickly or it comes slow. I'm not the most prolific songwriter, and my wife will tell you. she knows I'm writing a song and my foot's tapping.
Yeah.
You know, if my foot's tapping, I've got a melody going.
Yeah.
And I've normally got a lyric going at that point.
Yeah.
And then something might be said on TV, something might be said in conversation, and I think, you know, that make a good line.
Yeah.
So I take that line and I work away at that line, and out of one line will come a song, for instance.
You build the centre of a web outwards.
I do, yeah, exactly, yeah. You know, you work on a line and then you build the song outwards.
Yeah.
But everybody works differently.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't know one songwriter that works in the same way.
Yeah.
You know, so we all work very differently, and we all write our own songs, and, you know, be it they come from poems that we've read, a line in a book that we've read. I say read a book. You know, the last book I read had pictures in it. You know, a line that we've heard on TV that's made us smile. You know, and something that you've heard somebody say.
It's just like flicking a switch, isn't it?
It flicks a switch in you. You're walking down the street and somebody says something, you say, and that sticks with you. And you may not think of it at the time, but and then it comes back to you. And that's where the story comes, and that's where the song comes.
I know exactly where you're coming from with that. Okay, another track for us this time?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, I've got it down in drop D now.
Okay.
See, I'm
You're down into Aussie territory here.
I've gone into Aussie territory. I'm of the school of you know the lazy guitarist who basically learnt a few chords and then said, "Hey, look what I can do," and then go out on the road and see what I can do. And you know, I've now I jokingly say I've now learnt 5 chords. This is a song actually that it's another traditional poem.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And it's a traditional Irish poem about the epitical, the almost tyrannical Irish lass. Everybody's scared of the mother, and I've never known any. I know a few. You know, I grew up with next door neighbours who were a Belfast mother. And they were terrified of the Belfast mother. There's something about the Belfast mother, with the house coat on, proud of the steps and proud of everything around them, and it's the same throughout Ireland. The Irish lass is very, very special. I find, and you know, there's something really, really fascinating about a typical Irish mother and an Irish lass, and you know, she'll fight to the bitter end for her children, but she'll the smile of that same child that she's just given a clout to will bring a tear to her eye. You see, so you know, it's like a double-edged sword in the spirit of the typical. You know, I'm probably putting heckles upon some people.
No, I'd say most people can relate to that.
You know, so this is an old Victorian poem, which was, I don't know who wrote it. I've no clue who wrote it, but I just know it's an old poem. It was found on a picture, and my wife showed me it, and I said, "Oh, I love this story. I love the sentiment behind this." So I wrote this song called Irish Lass.
Okay,
it goes a bit like this.
Good stuff.
Strange sense of shyness, pride and conceit, and a stubborn refusal to bow in defeat. She is spoiling and ready to argue and fight, yet the smile of the child fills her soul with delight. Her eyes are the quickest to well up in tears, and her strength is the strongest to banish your fears. Her hate is as fierce as her devotion is grand, and there's no middle ground on which she will stand. She is wild and she is gentle, she's good and she is bad. Yes, she's proud and she's humble, she's happy and sad. She's in love with the ocean, in love with the skies. She's enamored with beauty, wherever it lies. She's victim, she's a star and a clod, but mostly she's Irish, in love with her God. She is victor, she's victim, she's a star and a clod, mostly she's Irish, in love with her God.
Once again, absolutely wonderful, absolutely great.
Thank you.
Again, lovely feel of that. It's a slightly different vein to it, and I know you said it's got the Irish inflection there, but you can actually feel the transition in your musical style there from what can be described earlier as English folk to Irish folk.
Aye.
I mean, it's very apparent there. I mean, was that a conscious thing, do you think, or did it just flow from you like that?
Just seemed to flow. I got very well inspired. I first moved to Ballycastle when I first moved over here, and the coastline along there, going out to the Panzer Rocks along Ballycastle Beach and along the Irish Sea, and as the current breaks into the Atlantic Ocean, it's there's something really special about that place. And about everything that goes on around there, and I just loved the atmosphere that it created, and it really did inspire me to write some very different kind of music to what I normally wrote. And I came from a very traditional English folk sing, which actually, in retrospect, isn't overly different. There's a slight different inflection in the way your voice sounds. To what it is over here. God, it's warm in here. But, it was so I didn't really find much of a difference, but I then noticed the difference in when people started saying, you've got a very Celtic sound about you. And I'd never noticed that before.
Well, there is. To me now, personally, just from a listener's perspective here now, to me, and I'm not trying to generalise, or I'm not even trying to categorise or even put English folk in a box, but it has a distinctive sound.
It does.
Irish folk has a distinctive sound. Scottish folk have a distinctive sound too, even down to the way it's played, even down to the way a mandolin is picked up. And in Irish folk, you've got triplets being played. You don't have that in English folk. You don't have it in Scottish folk. Simple little inflections like that, little things like that, and it comes across. But it was the very way you chased the air of that song from the high part to the low part, and it went round through the minor and back up again. It was just, it had that Celtic Irish stamp on it. And as I said, listening to that and comparing to some of the English type folk that we've heard earlier, you can hear a difference. So do you find yourself getting more and more influenced now by, you say you haven't picked up the accent. You've said that.
I haven't picked up the accent, but I've picked up inflections.
You've picked up the musical accent.
I have, and I've also picked up certain phrases, which I say in a Yorkshire accent, which my wife finds totally amusing. But there are so things, like I'd often say, "So you will," but in a Yorkshire accent, it just sounds hilarious. And there'll be people listening that will sort of hear certain inflections that
on top of
Northern Irish twist to it.
On top of that too, where you're living, that whole area, you've got the whole Ulster Scots twang coming in there as well.
I've got the Ulster Scots to deal with as well.
Yeah.
I've got my great friend Robin James Hurt. He's an Ulster Scot through and through, and he now lives in Dublin. But he can tell some stories, and I picked up a lot from him, to be honest. His sense of humour and everything. You've got a very different sort of humour over here. It took me a while to get it.
You need to be thick-skinned sometimes, wouldn't you?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. You've got to be thick-skinned in the bars. Around here.
They don't mind heckling.
They don't mind heckling at all. But I have found that the audiences around here are so welcoming to new artists, and if you get in the right crowd, I've had nothing but respect for everybody, and I've made some great friends over here. So it's
good, and you're taking some inspiration, and obviously you're working. I mean, you're getting out there. Gigs are, suppose, not at the same speed as you'd like them to be, but that's always the way in this game, isn't it?
It's slow business. It's a very slow business, and if you're in here to make a lot of money, then you're in the wrong business, basically. I'm in it because I love music, and that's pure and simple. If I manage to make a living out of it, then all being well,
good.
That's great.
Exactly.
That's the plus in the box for me. So
okay, well, unfortunately we're bang out of time. All I can say to you at this stage is,
it's gone so fast.
Just let everybody know where they can find out more about you.
Well, the new album is going to be available on. We've got a digital release coming hopefully on the 23rd of September. On melodicrevolutionrecords.com. Records.com, and that's going to be a digital album release. Now, everybody that buys a digital copy of the album, a full digital copy of the album, will then get a nice shiny CD.
Excellent.
When it is released.
Okay.
Because we're not in the position to print CDs off straight away. We have to get digital releases out there.
Absolutely, so, get them sold first, and then get the money together,
so we
and
can
then
get the money together to make the CDs.
Fair enough.
melodicrevolutionrecords.com, or there is also Andy John Bradford's music.webs.com.
Okay.
Which is my own site, and you can get my music from there.
Okay. You have a Facebook page as well, too.
I'm on a Facebook page as well. Just type in Andy John Bradford, you'll find me.
Just Google.
Just Google Andy John Bradford, and you'll find me. I'm on, but I think I'm first on there.
Right. Excellent.
So, which is nice to know.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you in studio.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed your company. Thoroughly, really enjoyed you playing with us here this evening. And whenever the new album is ready for release,
definitely.
You let us know, and maybe come back up and have another wee chat with us then.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Sure.
Super stuff.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Absolutely super stuff. Once again, Andy John Bradford. Many thanks.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. That's the Showbox over for another week. Once again, thanks to Andy John for dropping in, having a chat with me, and bringing us some tunes. Matty James up next with Country Call. I'll be back with you next Tuesday with more of the same in unsigned artists, bringing you the very, very best in local music. Music as it should be. Until next Tuesday, for me, take good care. All the very best. Bye-bye. See ya.